So, who is Gabi Nunes? Orlando Pride just signed another Brazilian, and if you look at Gabi on paper, you'll see a 29-year-old striker who played in Brazil, Spain, England, played at a World Cup, won an Olympic silver medal, and scored a lot of goals. But that doesn't really tell you who Orlando just signed. She was someone who, when as a little girl, was told that she couldn't play with the boys anymore. She later suffered 3 devastating knee injuries and spent huge stretches of her career unable to play, and at one point seriously considered walking away from soccer altogether. Somehow, she's still here. So let's talk about Gabi Nunes. Gabi's full name is Gabriela Nunes da Silva. She was born in Sao Paulo in 1997, and soccer has been pretty much part of her family. Her father played, her mother played, her aunt played, and her brother Roberto actually pursued professional soccer. Gabi has said that she started playing around 5 years old. As a kid, she would watch her brother train and eventually told her father, I want to do that too. So around 7 years old, she started playing futsal with the boys in Sao Paulo. And apparently she became pretty good. Maybe a little too good. According to Gabi, eventually she wasn't allowed to continue playing there because the people running the team didn't want a girl kind of outshining some of the boys. Well, that was the beginning of her story. And this is when Gabi started playing girls soccer, and things started moving pretty quickly. At just 10 years old, she was playing with women roughly twice her age. Her brother realized that this probably wasn't just a hobby anymore and helped her get into Centro Olímpico. By 17, she already moved into the senior team, and at 18, Gabi finished as a leading scorer in the Brazilian competitions. Then Brazil took her to the 2016 Under 20 World Cup. 4 games, 5 goals, FIFA Silver Boot. And here's the story begins to connect directly to Orlando. The person who presented Gabi the Silver Boot? Martha. Gabi grew up idolizing her, and 10 years later, they're Orlando Pride teammates. After joining Corinthians, Gabi's career really took off. She wasn't just somebody in the roster. She scored 77 goals in 115 appearances. She won Brazilian titles, state titles, Copa do Brasil, and 2 Copa Libertadores titles. By the time she left Corinthians in 2021, she had become the all-time leading scorer in Brazilian Women's League. She looked like one of the emerging stars of Brazilian soccer. But those numbers leave out probably the most important part of her story. Because Gabi's Corinthians career could have very easily ended completely different. This is part of her career where I think it's important to Orlando Pride fans. In 2017, while playing against the United States representing Brazil, Gabi tore her ACL. She had major surgery, months of rehab, but she got back in the field. But soon after, she injured her knee again. More surgery, more rehab. But she recouped, got right back on. Then in 2019, she tore her ACL again. 3 major ligament surgeries. At one stage, she spent roughly 16 months away from the field. And Gabi later admitted that going through this repeatedly caused her to really consider quitting soccer, which is understandable. A lot of players, one injury is enough. She had 3 major surgeries, came back from all of them, and she didn't quit. And here's what makes that story even better. She comes back and starts scoring again. In 2020, she helps Corinthians win both the Brasileirão and the Paulista. Then in 2021, she leaves Corinthians with 77 goals and finally takes the opportunity she wanted for years. Europe. Madrid, CFF, and then Levante. And this is where Gabi really starts changing the way she approaches her career. Because after everything that she had gone through physically, Gabi decided that she wasn't leaving her body entirely in somebody else's hands anymore. After another injury caused her to miss the 2022 Copa America, she built her own performance team. Physical trainer, physiotherapist, video analyst, and a personal coach. She said she was inspired partly by seeing the personal setup of Vinicius Jr., and she spent around 15% of her salary on it. That's something I really like about her story. She didn't just say, I'm unlucky with injuries. She basically asked, what can I control? And invested in it. And eventually you get one of those full circle moments that almost writes itself. Paris Olympics 2024. Brazil against Nigeria. Martha gets the ball. She finds Gabi Nunes. Gabi scores. Brazil wins 1-0. Remember, Martha was the player Gabi idolized growing up. Martha presented her with the silver boot when Gabi was becoming one of Brazil's best young players. Now Martha is assisting Gabi at the Olympics. Brazil eventually goes all the way to the gold medal match and leaves Paris with silver. And now they're teammates again. Except for this time, they're wearing pride purple. After a strong season in Levante, with 34 appearances and 18 goals, Gabi moved to Aston Villa in 2024. Villa reportedly broke its transfer record signing her. Her time in England wasn't spectacular statistically, and I don't think we should pretend otherwise. Across her 2 seasons there, she's credited with 24 appearances, 5 goals, and 1 assist. So Orlando isn't signing someone coming off a 20-goal season in England. They're signing someone whose career tells us she can score, but now she has something to prove. Orlando has only signed her through the end of 2026, so basically it's a short audition for Gabi and for the Pride. So, what should Orlando fans expect? First, don't look at Gabi Nunes as another Barbara Banda. That's not her game. She's a number 9 who gives Orlando a presence centrally. She can receive the ball in crowded areas, attack crosses, and find space in the penalty area, something that Orlando has needed. Orlando can get crosses into the zone, but usually there's nobody there to receive it. And that's a space that Gabi can fill. When Aston Villa signed her, their manager specifically talked about her ability to operate in tight spaces and arrive in the box onto crosses. That's probably the biggest thing I'll be watching her do, because Orlando doesn't necessarily need Gabi to taking 10 touches and creating everything herself. That's not what she does. She will be a target for our crosses, and she'll cause chaos in the opponent's penalty zone. They need someone occupying defenders, someone attacking that space between the center backs. Someone players like Martha and our wide players have a target in the dangerous areas. And potentially someone who can turn one decent delivery into a goal. And that's where Gabi fits in and can be very useful to the Pride. And that's Gabi Nunes. So Orlando is getting a player who refuses to quit. A little girl who was told that perhaps she was too good to play with the boys. One of Brazil's best young goal scorers. A career-breaking goal scorer. She tore up her knee, came back. Tore up her knee again, came back. Did it again for a third time. She went to Europe, played some of the toughest matches against some of the toughest teams in the world. She played in the World Cup. She won silver at the Olympics next to her idol, Martha, who now will join her in her next chapter in Orlando. The only question is, what does that next chapter look like? Well, Gabi, welcome to Orlando. And Pride fans, what do you think? Is Gabi Nunes the 9 that the team's been missing? Let me know below. And vamos Pride.